everybody, it's me. It's the Enlightened One, and I can do this crazy dance with my hammer. All right, and we are ready to go. We're rocking and we're rolling, baby. And
Oh, yeah.
I didn't throw my hammer. I didn't injure. How's my hair? Makeup lady.
You're looking great, Aaron.
I need
Looking good.
the makeup lady.
Don't worry about it. It's all good. How you doing
You know,
today?
I had someone comment on my hair that one episode the mask messed it up. I'm messing it up even more. It's getting worse as I go.
Sometimes we just got to go with it. We're live on air. We can't redo this. We only got one shot. All right.
There we go. So nice and floofy.
All right. For all the
Oh,
listeners
right.
out there,
So today we're going to be wrestling with reverse alien technology.
reverse engineered alien technology.
Now, is this real? Is this something that that we've made up in our heads? Wait, Craig, what is that in your hat?
What are you talking about?
The
Oh,
little silver thing.
oh, this is just a little bit of tinfoil.
Why?
Okay? Oh, don't worry about it. No.
What do you have tinfoil in your hat?
Don't worry about it. Okay, pay no attention to the tinfoil. It has, it's nothing to do with
Nothing to do with Major League Baseball.
Nothing to do with Major League Baseball. I need tinfoil in my hat. Okay.
Has this been going on for a long time? Is it from episode 1 or what?
You just never noticed before.
I guess I haven't.
Yeah.
See if you can notice his tinfoil next episode. I guess
I might. I'm slowly working towards disclosing to the public why I have tinfoil in my hat, but I don't think the public's ready to handle the information.
Oh, they're not ready to handle.
They're not ready, so we're just going to continue on with the show. By the way, we're wrestling with the paranormal. My name's Craig the Gray. I'm here every week.
I am Aaron, the Enlightened One.
So the topic is reverse engineered alien technology. We're going to take a lot of our notes today from an episode of UFO Secrets. Is that the name of the show?
I think show? Declassified, something like that.
UFO Secrets Declassified.
It's on Netflix.
It's a great show. I think this is episode 5 or 4 or 5. It's called Codename Aurora. The whole episode focuses on this topic, reverse engineered alien technology. I've had some thoughts about it even before I watched this. There's been other material about this. Obviously recent UFO disclosures made by the American government over the last year or so. So we can talk a little bit about that. We already did a show about aliens. If you want to go back into the backlog of Wrestling with the Paranormal, you can check that out as well.
And if you noticed, we got the purple there. I changed it up.
Very nice. Very nice.
Lots
of changes today. Today.
Because our shirts have purple writing on it for Wrestling with the Paranormal. So I wanted to get people ready for when we release those shirts.
Excellent. Stay tuned for that. So where are we on this topic, Aaron? Where are you?
Okay, so let's talk about just start out with something simple. In the last 50 years, or no, not the last 50 years, in the last let me take my notes here. In the last 15 to 20 years, we've had more technological advances than ever before. Like, look at everything that, like, we've got little computer phones in our hand.
Mm-hmm.
Like, 20 years ago, did you think we'd have that?
No. And no, like,
20 years ago, you were on what kind of computer do you have? You have 486, big tower.
Had a big tower, yeah.
Good as like these.
A car phone. My mom had a car phone. I don't even think it worked, but there was a car phone in one of our cars, and it was massive. It was this huge thing, and it was plugged into the the dash, the console middle part of the car. Yeah. So you're right. Definitely things have gotten smaller. We've got more technology, even propulsion engines, which is a lot of what this alien technology ideas are.
And so one of the guys was saying that the reason why we've advanced so much in the last 20 years is we've been stealing it
Mm-hmm.
from alien technology. What do you think about it? Do you think this is true, or do you think this is all hooey?
Well, there wasn't a lot of like information about they didn't show like uh I'm sure if you went into every invention, like the, microchip and the cell phone and anything like any kind of invention, any kind of propulsion system, there's always going to be some human being who claims to have invented it. And then maybe there's records about like, oh yeah, how the invention took place and everything. Um,
So,
but what was interesting though is there was a case, and it reported in the show where there was a scientist, David Adair, or he was a engineer, and he
oh yeah,
made
David Adair.
an electric magnetic fusion engine. So he made the first one. He made this little rocket, right? And immediately when he designed it, the U.S. military grabs him and takes him to Area 51 in Groom
Don't
Lake,
forget, he got an Academy Award for that.
an Academy Award.
He won a damn Emmy. No, he won an Oscar. No, he won some sort of scientific award.
Right. Okay.
And
Yeah.
then, and
So
then
yeah.
he,
So they wanted him. So then, and then he reports about this even in a book, and he came out like as a whistleblower. He came out and talked about it after, where they showed him this giant engine that,
size of a semi truck or a school bus.
yeah, and it didn't have any bolts on it. It doesn't have any seams. He couldn't really understand how it was constructed. It has a weird eggplant like skin, and it like was
And
really
it was
smooth,
kind of slimy, right?
watery, and it responded to touch. Now that's interesting when you think about that. They were showing him this
You know what
in
that
nine.
reminds me of? Do you know what that reminds me of? The movie Flight of the Navigator. Do you remember seeing that
I
movie?
remember that. Yeah, it was very
That's
silvery.
when they saw that, it totally reminded me of the Flight
Well,
of the
that's how he won the Academy Award. But yeah, so like silver, right? Like this kind of idea that like there's a lot of like smoothness to the alien technology. But I was gonna say it responded to touch in 1971. Like the material responded to touch. We have touch screens now.
Hey, guess what? We have someone commenting on our show today. His name is I can't even pronounce it, so we're just gonna say that someone's. So he said it reminds me of Independence Day as well.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. But that's interesting because that's what you were talking about. How like there's all these new technologies. So he reports this thing responding to touch in 1971. We have touch screens now, right? Isn't it interesting that our technology seems to catch up to these things, right? Over time.
Yeah, like isn't that kind of what a plasma TV does when you touch it? It kind of has that sort of
Well, I mean, I just meant like we have touchscreen phones, but
yeah.
there's touchscreen computer screens you can get too. I used one at work before. Like there's lots
Well,
of this
they've been
material
around a
floating
long
around.
time. Like you could
Right,
have
but not since 1971. Right, that's
no,
you know
no,
what I
no,
mean.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like following the like, where's the exact moment where an engineer stole alien technology? Right, like maybe
Okay, so
that's
let's
missing
let's
still.
back it up here a bit. Let's back it up to Tesla.
Right.
So Tesla, when he died, all his information was all his research, everything was destroyed, and he was working on some crazy stuff. And the stuff that wasn't destroyed was confiscated by the government. So he had something going on,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know if it's alien technology related, but Tesla had some breakthrough technology uh, that they didn't want anyone to see, and he was working on like some crazy stuff that was going to be uh, not very good for the other companies.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting, right? Like they confiscate a lot of this information, which would be of good historical, like it'd be good for us to be able to see all these things, right? Um, Also with Tesla, what's interesting to remember is like a lot of people, I guess, if you tell them like, oh, we might have electric magnetic, like we might have anti gravity propulsion in our lives. We might start to see things that just float, like floating cars and stuff like that, right? If they like release this technology or if it gets developed, and people think like, oh, that seems so crazy. But if you think about it, before electricity was released to the public and before people readily had electricity, electricity probably seemed crazy to the people, when it was really rare, when only rich people had it, and when it was like just first being developed. It would be like magical to go to see a light bulb or to see like,
Oh, totally.
all these lights and everything, right? And Tesla used to do things like that. He used to have like expeditions where they would go and they would like tour around cities and stuff and show off new technology. Like they show pictures of him with the in that room of like lightning, right? Like he used to do those like lightning
Yeah,
shows where he'd be like static lightning would be hitting him and stuff like that.
that must have been quite the show for someone back in the day, right?
So like that kind of level of like awe of new technology being developed, like we could be very close to that happening very soon. It does kind of seem like, that.
Well, yeah, because the government is finally acknowledging that there's alien life, of acknowledging UFOs. So why are they doing that? They have to be ready to make some sort of concession here, because if they're doing reverse technology, they got to be doing something like that. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah. So the theory goes that it's like a slow kind of disclosure. So it's like they're slowly disclosing different things, maybe trying to still keep some kind of like competitive edge over other countries like China or Russia, right? Maybe there's companies that want to still develop things before the public knows about it.
So let's get into what's his name, Philip J. Corso.
Mm-hmm.
You got notes on Philip J. Corso? Because I have
That's
notes.
the Fort Riley guy.
Yeah, so he came in one night and uh, he came across some boxes and opened it up, and there's an alien life form in there. And you know, he's asking where did it come from, and they're like, "Oh, we ship them in from New Mexico, blah blah blah." And so he climbed pretty high up in the military and ended up working in the White House.
Mm-hmm. Well, and like there was a record, they mentioned it in the show, of him filing not like a complaint, but sort of something like that, like an incongruity with like, because he was supposed to be in charge of that base, I think he said, or he was a higher up. And like this guy's like, "Oh, you're not supposed to be here." And then all these trucks came in and like took a bunch of stuff away.
Yeah,
And he's kind of like, "Whoa, how come I'm not like notified of any of this stuff happening?" Right. And it was all above his head. But it was like shocking to him that like this stuff would be going on and that they wouldn't be telling him
yeah. He only
what's
saw
happening.
the alien for 10-15 seconds before it was all shut down. Shut it down. And he's like, "All right, we got to go. Come on, we don't want to get in trouble."
Yeah, we don't want to get you in trouble, is what they were saying to him. Yeah.
And so when he was in the White House in 1961, he had there was a file of an autopsy that he witnessed, an alien autopsy that he witnessed, and the fragments of an alien craft that were meant for human advancement. Um, and so he took it to companies to reverse engineer it. So this is like a key in the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like he's admitting that, starting out with seeing the alien, and then he's taken the reverse engineering or the alien fragments to different companies to reverse engineer. Like, what are you telling these companies? Hey, what can you, like, they
Check
got to
this
be.
thing out. Yeah.
So
Well, it's like if you see something and it's too far advanced from what you could do or really even understand how it works, because like what they mentioned is that the materials science was really, really far ahead. So like the way that the materials were made, like with nanotechnology and like really, really small components like interlaced and everything, right? That's so far ahead of when he was showing these companies, because I think this is in the 80s or 70s even, right? They didn't even have a concept of like what
well,
nanotechnology would be.
I was always thinking, like, if you took like a PlayStation 4
That's a good example, yeah.
back to 1985, they'd be like, "What the hell is this thing?" Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, they would be like, "Whoa, you blow everyone's mind."
Well, without a proper monitor like to hook it up to, you wouldn't be able to plug it in, so
Where's the HD cables?
I want to show you guys what this PlayStation 5 looks like. Where's the HD input on your
Side
TV?
note. Okay, so when the PlayStation 1 came out, it first had the proper hookups, right?
Right.
It had the
I
little
don't know
cable thing.
what kind. Well, it was probably like RCA cables or something.
Okay, before the RCA, it had still had the cable hookups. We hook up to we hook up the cable to it.
Like cable TV?
Yeah, you hook it up to the cable, and it had a proper thing to hook to the.
I don't even remember.
Before the RC, before the green
Before
and the white.
The red, white, and yellow.
Okay, so originally it had that as an option and had the other one, and so
the coax, the one that you spin.
Yes.
To screw it in. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so we had that, and so I was given a PlayStation at the height of this, and it didn't have that hookup to it. So we thought it was broken. We ended up taking it apart and destroying it because we didn't understand, and it was just ended up not having. And at the time, those were hundreds of dollars, and so
you couldn't reverse engineer.
No, we were trying to reverse engineer the PlayStation and
couldn't hook it up to your TV.
But we just needed the proper cables, and we didn't.
But it's a good example to show you that, like, if you get an advanced piece of technology, you might need other pieces of technology to go with it to actually use it. And if you don't know what those pieces, like if you get a piece of a spaceship, spaceship, it could be as useless as having a PlayStation without the cable to hook it up to your TV.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, so say you get an engine from a UFO. You get the engine from this UFO. Like, because apparently they had that engine. They showed that guy, right? They have this engine, but they're not going to be able to use it if they can't figure out like how you control it. How do you hook it up to a plane? You know, what's the fuel? How does the fuel
that's
go
why
in?
That guy was important because he created a small one. He's like, oh, this guy's going to be key.
Yeah,
but he turned them down, which is interesting.
But so I think like the guy going around showing companies broken pieces of alien spaceships and stuff, it might not help them that much. Although, like they say in the video, like the one thing is like they noticed that the materials were made in a way that like they just didn't understand how to make materials.
Well, they were talking about how different things like Teflon and I forget what else, but different things were created because of alien technology.
That could have been that guy going around to those companies, right? Maybe one of those companies made Teflon, right? Maybe one of those companies made plexiglass. Like, who knows what they figured out from looking at this material.
So it's not that they reverse engineers; they just kind of copied it.
Maybe one of those companies was one of the companies to first create.
You got more tinfoil under there? Oh, you finally take it.
Tinfoil.
Dun, dun, dun.
Look at this. Imagine showing tinfoil to somebody in medieval times. Wouldn't they would think that was weird? It's a super thin. It's like metal, but it's super thin. How is this even possible? Look how shiny it is. Look how shiny this is. I bet you.
I think they would think it's valuable.
They would think it was like silver, man.
Yeah.
They'd probably kill me for it. Look how shiny that is. People loved shiny things back then.
Oh, you're a god. Look how shiny
that is. What is this shiny thing? And you can fold it. You can fold it. You can wrap things in it.
Fold my gold.
You can make birds out of it, like little.
You can't make a bird though.
Origami birds now. But that just goes to show like how foreign these things would look too, and also even imagine going back in time to like 1995, Aaron, and you brought your cell phone and it had some power in it, and you showed 1995 Aaron your cell phone that you have now. He would be like, what?
Well, first of all, you're not going to be able to phone anyone because there's no towers. But
you could still show him like even just the app, open some apps and show him how it swipes and everything. It'd be mind blowing. It'd be insane, right? Even just the touch screen, even just like you can touch the screen and move it around. Like, it's insane. But look how fast we get used to things, right? So who knows? We could be doing this podcast next year, flying cars. Right?
Not next year. No.
Aliens.
Well, flying cars. TV. We do have. There is flying cars. They're just not affordable.
Well, they got those skateboards that float. But they hover. But you have to have the right track for them to hover on. So, but yeah, So we were talking about Philip J. Corso. Yeah, he goes around, gives those materials. There was a guy who claimed that the Vatican had ancient technology. Remember that? They
I
just
don't know
briefly
about
mentioned it.
that. I
I
think
never heard of that before.
that guy seemed a bit hokey. I'm
Yeah.
dismissing that one because
And then so then there was the David Adair. Oh, Bob Lazar. Now we got
yes, I
Bob
was just
Lazar.
going to say Bob
Is the
Lazar.
next guy. This has been a famous UFO case for years. So Bob Lazar claims and made claims that there's at least 9 recovered flying saucers that the U.S. government has
Yeah,
been
and he
taking
was in
apart.
charge of working on them and reverse engineering them.
And he had drawings. They showed the drawings that he made and everything. And a lot of it's the classic UFO structure that we're used to, a flying saucer. But he knew like where all the different parts were and stuff like that. But a lot of people didn't believe him when he first came out, right?
So the one thing they didn't believe him on was element 115.
Yes.
And so element 115 had the ability to bend space and time around your ship and travel kind of like Star Trek, like, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a warp speed sort of thing, where you're bending you're bending things around you. You're not moving the ship, you're moving things around you. Is that how it works?
I think so. I mean, they also mentioned that if it kind of pushes against gravity and it nullifies gravity, you can essentially make the thing that's surrounded by it weightless. So because
Yeah.
I've nullified gravity, for this, if the skin of the craft is covered in this 115 and then it somehow negates gravity, then this thing all of a sudden becomes weightless, which means, like somebody was saying in the video, like you could run these ships on very little propulsion and it could go super fast because it doesn't weigh anything. It
Yeah,
essentially
they
weighs
said you could
nothing.
run it on a battery, a small.
Yeah, exactly, like a 9-volt battery. Like, because
Yeah.
really, we're shocked by like when we see UFOs and they move so fast and they seem to be able to like turn really sharply and like go up and down really fast, without any sonic booms. And we think that's such a mystery. But if we just click this idea that like, well, actually, what they're doing is like nullifying the laws of physics, because they're surrounded by something or whatever they do, right?
So with his idea of the 115 element, he was laughed out of he was a laughing stock because no one thought that this thing existed. But recently, scientists have proved that element 115 is real.
Yeah,
Like
2013.
now they haven't been able to get this thing going where it's safe, but they've proven that it's real.
Yeah, they found it. I think probably using one of the colliders or something, because they found a lot of things when they got those colliders going, like the Hadron Collider and that. But they can't. It's not stable. They can't stabilize it, right? So the element could like appear. They can register like, yes, there's that element 115, but we don't yet know how to like stabilize it and then create it so that we have like a stable source of it. But that could be one of those breakthroughs that's around the corner, right?
Yeah,
that could be one of those breakthroughs that.
And the other thing was Tesla was working on a anti-gravity sort of propulsion sort of thing.
Well, he also had drawings. They showed drawings. There's Tesla drawings where he's drawing things that are the shapes of UFOs too, which is really interesting. Makes you think, because Tesla's way before, like Tesla's in the late 1800s, is way before any of the UFO sightings.
You almost wonder if he had alien contact of some sort.
Right? I mean, he was definitely way ahead of his time in what he was inventing with electricity and everything. So who knows, right?
Like maybe he had some sort of source that kind of talked to him. I don't know.
But yeah, anti-gravity is definitely like one of the big ones. What was the other thing? Yeah, so Bob Lazar claims that the U.S. government's been trying to understand these spacecraft since the 40s and 50s. So it's been going on for like 70, 80 years, right?
And just like our other episode where, other than Tesla, like our other episode, we we're talking about no alien abductions really happened before that.
No reports, yeah.
Yeah. No one was really doing anything about these sort of things before except for Tesla, any of these advancements. So as soon as Roswell happened, it's the key to all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, like we talked about in our last episode, right? Like, it's weird that there's like very few alien sightings or anything ideas of aliens, and then all of a sudden there's like this huge kind of massive understanding of it. And like what I really liked about this episode, especially at the end of the show, is they talk about how, disclosing things to the public or the public understanding something, it's not like an event. Like it may, especially not in this case, it's not like they release information and everybody all of a sudden believes it and everybody's on board, but it's actually a process so that like we
Yeah,
slowly
I
accept.
would
We
compare it
slowly accept.
to immersing yourself in a lake
Mm,
because you're slowly getting used to it and it's normalized.
yeah.
And the fact that we're doing this show talking about it and no
Oh,
one's calling us crazy.
there's lots. Are they? Is that person calling us crazy in the live
No,
chat?
no
Okay,
one's
good.
calling us crazy.
Nobody's
Like,
calling. Okay, if you want to be the first listener or viewer to call us crazy, just put it as a comment in the video there, and then you'll be the first one to call us crazy.
I'm the crazy enlightened one. Everything must go. $2.99, $3.99. We're moving
It's
everything.
crazy. It's crazy.
I'm crazy.
Also, our sponsors today. I think we've
We
got
have
two
sponsors?
sponsors. Yeah, we have a sponsor today.
Oh, who's it?
Well, no, we talked about it before the show. You have the sponsor.
I have this. Oh,
No,
yeah.
you have it. It's show
It's
the
water.
No, it's
Good old fashioned water. H2O. And remember, it's not half full, it's half empty. It's lukewarm.
I was actually referring to that comb thing that you have.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They backed out at the last second.
Oh, all right, that's fine. All right, something I want to say about if there's people out there who do think we're crazy and think, what? There's no way the government's hiding alien secret technology from us. I got a question for you,
For
Aaron.
me?
For you.
Okay.
Do you know about the stealth bomber?
The stealth bomber was the coolest thing when we were kids. Like, everyone loved the stealth bomber.
Here's the thing, though. The F-117 Nighthawk. Okay, that's the classic stealth fighter you're probably thinking about.
Yeah.
That might be the stealth fighter, not the stealth bomber. I don't know. But it's released to the public, so the public knows about it in 1988. But do you know when they first flew that stealth bomber?
Tell me.
1981. That's a full
1981,
7 years.
damn it.
That's 7 years of keeping it secret.
It's not very
100%
long,
secret. No, but it's not. But it still goes to show that the government is definitely willing to keep.
Yeah, so if
technology
you
secret.
saw the stealth fighter in 1981,
Yeah,
you
what
would
were you
think
thinking?
you would think it's a UFO.
It's flying super fast. It's got a weird shape to it. It's not showing up on your radar, because you probably have like a home radar kit. And you're like, what?
I did at that age.
Of course, we all did.
That's a common thing. You didn't have one? What a weirdo.
But that's just an example of like maybe we're not so crazy, because they could definitely be hiding more stuff. What else are they hiding?
So that's the start of the code name Aurora. Just kind of comes out of that. We got the stealth Dark Star.
Yep.
And then we got the Astra.
This is a whole other topic, yeah.
Yeah, the Astra is crazy. So this thing was spotted all over the world. I know it was, people thought in different shows I've come across, they think it's a UFO, like alien spacecraft flew across different American cities. And I know I've watched shows on that particular thing. And this is the first time I watched a show where they're saying, no, that's the Astra, that's American. And it's the size of a football field, a triangle, size of a football field. And it has 3 lights on it with a middle red light. And then it's got all these weird little piping, sort of electrical piping on the bottom.
Yeah, it's huge. And so there was a wave of sightings of Astra, of this aircraft from 1989 to 1990 in Belgium. Belgium even scrambles military fighter jets to encounter this thing because they're so worried they don't know what this is, right? There was a soccer game where everybody at the soccer game saw this thing, right? They stopped playing soccer. This thing was as big as the field. It was hovering above them, right? I mean, it's
I have a
unfortunate.
theory. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
Okay. 3 times in Belgium.
Right.
Then they're in Germany.
Yep.
They're after the chocolate.
Oh my God, you're right.
Belgian chocolate, German chocolate. They're trying to steal all the chocolate.
Could be. It could be about
But
chocolate.
then they go to Czech. I don't get that. That kind of wrecks my theory.
See, now it is also weird that if it was a government aircraft, I don't know why they're flying it over like Belgium and France. Like, maybe it is to get the chocolate.
Maybe they're
but like
safer sort of countries to mess around in.
test things. Yeah. Who knows what it was doing too? Like, we don't even know what the purpose of this craft is. Like,
Well,
is
they
it
could have
just
been
to
doing
get from one place to another?
Maybe they're doing reconnaissance missions and seeing what's going on in Belgium. Like maybe they had an actual mission to see something that was going on.
Yeah. So that's the Astra. And then there's also and this might be related to the Aurora project as well. There's the Nimitz, the USS Nimitz. So this is what is it? A war aircraft carrier? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
So it's a giant ship on the ocean. It's got its own jet fighters, and on the radar they encounter these these blips, these things that are moving around.
So they end up being Tic Tacs.
Yes, I wrote that down.
Size,
giant Tic Tacs.
Tic Tacs the size and length of an airplane.
And a bus, basically, too, if you want to think about it that way.
Yeah.
So think about just a big flying like school bus in the air, but they move too slow for something that's as high up as they go. Like if you're that high up and you're not moving fast enough, you're gonna fall out of the sky. So they basically kind of hover, right? Also, they're transmedium, and what that means is they can go from the space, like up in space, into the atmosphere, and they can go underneath the ocean. They can go everywhere, basically, in any kind of.
But they were staying right with those airplanes. They weren't going slow.
Well, they can basically change their speed. Like they can go because the guy said that it dropped. It was really high up, and then it dropped way down in under a second, and there was no sonic boom. So that was really weird too.
Jack Davini says it's all just weather balloons, baby. So
Tic Tac weather balloons.
Tic Tac weather balloons that
maybe
make your breath smell great.
They make the whole atmosphere taste like Tic Tacs.
So if you get the weather balloons, you drop them down, everyone's gonna have good breath.
Maybe that's the idea.
Sorry, keep going.
Well, there is, and there's footage, right? That's the Nimitz thing is part of that footage that got released in 2017. This footage got released. You can even see the thing. It's aircraft. It's like a jet fighter camera, so it doesn't look very clear. Obviously, it's not very good footage, but we have evidence of this thing happening. And then the commander of the Nimitz is in the show, right? They're even interviewing him, and he said that if this is aircraft designed by the United States military, why would they test it, right? Like, why would they test it against the Nimitz aircraft, which he didn't feel was very safe, like because they weren't notified of this.
Well,
so that's also kind of
to make are these Jack Davini says, are these Tic Tac things Foo Fighters? Not the band, but
what's a Foo Fighter?
Not a food fighter. They're
a Foo Fighter.
Look that up. All
right, I'll look it up.
Look what a Foo Fighter is.
What were you gonna say?
I forget now because of Jack Davini's comment.
Okay, I'm getting the band, but it's also a real thing.
Yeah.
It stands for it's a World War II term for an unidentified flying object.
Yes, so yes, they were Foo Fighters.
They were definitely Foo Fighters.
So you learned something here today.
See, I'm a UFO specialist, and I didn't even know that. I should have known that.
Yeah, that's where they came up
with the band. Yeah, the band Foo Fighters is named after this old term for UFOs. It doesn't actually stand for anything. It looks like it's just something they said, probably.
Yeah, Foo Fighters.
One of those Foo Fighters. What is that? It's a Foo
from.
Fighter. Maybe it was like foo meant like something you don't know. Like, oh, I don't know what that is. It's a foo
It's
fighter.
fooey.
It's fooey. Yes.
Fooey. So these things they splashed right in the water, and they thought that a ship had crashed, and then all of a sudden the tic tac sort of thing came out of the water and just went straight up. And at one point they were following them like a flock of birds, and we're kind of like moving out of the way of the airplanes like birds would as you're driving, kind of thing. So they meant them no harm.
Yeah, they didn't attack. They didn't like engage with it. It's kind of interesting though. Like, it's weird that they didn't shoot them down. But I guess you wouldn't just shoot something down for looking weird.
Well, I
If I was in a jet
when
fighter,
I ask out a girl, she shoots me down because I look weird, right? So there you go.
done it again.
I did it again.
You've done it again. Wow. So if you were a jet fighter pilot and you saw a giant tic tac,
Jack Davini says the French word "feu," meaning fire, plus fighter. So it's a firefighter, I guess what it means is
firefighter. Okay.
Yeah, I guess it's a French word for fire. Fire.
Okay.
Thanks, Jack.
Now, thank you very much. We got our viewers helping us today. This is good. So yeah, I mean the Nimitz encounter is definitely strange. And then the end of the episode, just to round things off. So there's this private company that has a deal with the U.S. government to analyze metamaterials. So supposedly metamaterials refers to them not being terrestrial. Maybe they come from a different planet, or maybe they're just like advanced materials from, who knows where. But it did seem like it's kind of like that whole idea of like they're preparing us to like disclose more information. Like maybe they've been in contact with an ancient or with a advanced civilization. Maybe there's,
And as we talked about in a different episode, it's possible they're not from outer space.
Yes,
they're from another dimension. Because we've seen that little videos of little portals and something coming through and then going through and disappearing. So
I'm a firm believer in like multiverse, like multiple universes existing, even stacked on top of each other, and like that there could be a version of Earth where technology advanced faster. Maybe they can somehow contact us, like send things through a portal. Maybe that's what UFOs are. Maybe they're like spacecraft or aircraft that come through a portal. Like maybe something about material. What is it? 115. Maybe element 115 also like somehow helps with traveling through dimensions. Who knows?
Yeah, that's just one theory, but
Yeah.
So, I think that we're not totally down with what reverse technology is yet. I don't think we have a grasp on it totally. I think we've copied a lot of stuff, and we've been able to reverse engineer a few things, and even project what's the name of that Astra, that definitely has been somewhat reverse engineered to the point where they're mimicking a UFO. But I don't think that they're there yet. I think we're close.
When was Teflon invented? 1938.
Okay.
Interesting.
So when was Roswell?
So maybe a little bit earlier than the 40s, and when we're claiming to have the UFO encounters.
Yeah, that comment that she made about Teflon was just out of nowhere. So,
well, it was just an example of like a new technology just all of a sudden appearing, right?
But yeah,
what kind of new technology would you like to see?
Well, I think what's really something that could be something that's been reversed is the nanobots. like the fact that they're able to like get in there and build stuff, little tiny little robots.
Right.
That's crazy.
But that's, I mean, this could be a whole other episode. Not necessarily paranormal, but you've heard of like the gray goo scenario, where like if we create nanobots that are self-replicating and they have some kind of food source and they get released, that they could just start replicating into some insane level, and then the whole planet just gets covered in this like gray goo of these nanobots that just like eat everything and replicate. It's
That
weird
was an,
that
that was an
there hasn't
episode.
been.
That was
Well,
an
it's weird
episode.
there hasn't been a science fiction movie about this, because this has come out as an actual real problem, like that engineers have to consider when creating nanobots, that like you don't make
That
them
was an
self-replicating
episode
and you
of
don't.
Justice League animated. They encountered
Okay.
that problem.
So at least it was covered in Justice League. Young Justice or Justice League?
Justice League, the one from the 2006 ish.
Okay. There you go. There you go. But yeah, I mean, that's not necessarily the technology I'm looking forward to. I don't know, nanobots. Nano materials, like super strong, thin materials, are kind of interesting to think about. So like thinking that like you could make armor for somebody that is like paper thin, but it's like super, super tough. Also like the idea of like being able to make buildings and elevators out of like nanotechnology that like makes it so that they're so much lighter and cheaper, probably better for the environment. Like, and it just takes an amount of engineering, right? It's not necessarily that you have more stuff; it's that you just know how to interlace things together and like how to create nano compounds, right? That are like on a nano scale. Because insects, when you think about it, like insects do some pretty incredible things for how small they are. Like a fly has like a little motor on it, basically like muscles that can beat its wings super, super fast, right? And we can't engineer a motor that small yet. Although I do think I have heard that there are like these small insect machines that they're making now, like insect drones.
Well,
Also, flying cars would be cool too.
yes, they would. I think we covered it. So visit our website, fnwrestling.com, and you'll be able to get to our Twitter. You'll be able to order shirts from Pro Wrestling Tees. We were, Jack Davini just said, what about Bigfoot? I think maybe he's a future episode. Guess what? I got an idea that just inspired me. Why don't we talk about the Dogman of Michigan next week?
Dogman of Michigan. Yes. Probably tied to Bigfoot somehow, I'm guessing.
It's similar, but I was looking and came across the Dogman of Michigan this week, so I was going to bring up to you. Do you want to do the Dogman of Michigan next week?
Yeah, for sure. That sounds good.
And maybe we can put Bigfoot in. The Jersey Devil is a good one too, and maybe he can. Yeah. So we did our podcast today, just another FM podcast, and we talked to Adam Baum.
Nice.
And such a nice guy. Felt like you could, chat with him about anything. And we had a good show. We usually do this on Saturday, so I've had a busy day with the podcasts here. And I enjoyed doing this show today as well. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, and there's t-shirts. You mentioned that, right?
Yeah, Pro Wrestling Tees, fnwrestling.com.
All right, now we've been practicing the end of the show, so we're going to have this perfectly in sync now. Just remember, keep on
wrestling.
Then with the paranormal.
Normal. This we ain't normal, baby. All right. Have a good week.